Hare Krishna. We are reading from Sri Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, chapter entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text number 1. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." Purport: as the devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The messages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed amongst devotees. This cannot be achieved by the association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is realized knowledge. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna in the association of devotees. Discussion of Krishna is very potent, and if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement towards spiritual realization. Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this 9th chapter matters more confidential than any he has already disclosed. The very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. And in the 2nd and 3rd chapters, the spiritual knowledge described is called confidential. Topics discussed in the 7th and 8th chapters are specifically related to devotional service. And because they bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. But the matters which are described in the 9th chapter deal with unalloyed pure devotion. Therefore, this is called the most confidential. One is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that although one who has a sincere desire to render loving service to the Supreme Lord is situated in the conditional state of material existence, he is to be considered liberated. Similarly, we shall find in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, that anyone who is engaged in that way is a liberated person. Now, in this first verse, has specific significance. The words idam jnanam, this knowledge, refer to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When one's heart is thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the science of Krishna. Simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. That may be the beginning of spiritual realization. But one should recognize the difference between activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands that he is not the body. In the 7th chapter, we have already discussed the opulent potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different energies, the inferior and superior natures, and all this material manifestation. Now in chapter 9, the glories of the Lord will be delineated. The Sanskrit word anasuyave in this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately. Because they are envious of Krishna, their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by devotees of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad Gita or perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, these chapters will be very beneficial. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Na Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. I seek the permission and blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, especially Vayasaki Prabhu, senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Mother Kulangana, and all the other devotees. So we are reading about, we are discussing from Ramayana. This is the second session that we are having. And last time we discussed on the importance of hearing about the Lord. Today's verse talks about envy. How if we are free from envy, we can actually get realizations in Krishna consciousness. And from Ramayana, we have a very instructive episode in the story of Manthara influencing Kaikeyi and thus getting Lord Ram banished to the forest. So we'll briefly discuss this pastime and understand the lessons that we could learn. After Lord Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, they all had come back from Mithila. Lord Ram had won the hand of Mother Sita. And they were passing their days very happily in Ayodhya. One day, Maharaj Dasharat announced. He called all the ministers, his close advisors, and he said that, please speak, all of you, if my division is right. I have a desire to appoint my eldest son Ram as the Prince Regent. And as soon as Dasharat Maharaj announced this, everyone in the assembly, they roared like peacocks would roar when seeing a cloud, anticipating rain. They became very happy. They said, my dear king, you have ruled excellently for the last so many years. And this is an excellent decision so that you could now retire peacefully. The king came down. He touched his spiritual master Vashishta's feet. And Vashishta said, so be it. Let us undertake this auspicious activity. And at that time, Dasharat Maharaj said, I am seeing some inauspicious omens. So it is better we appoint Ram tomorrow itself, early morning. So the news spread. All the bards, the poets, they started composing poems, celebrations, and all the cities, the streets of Ayodhya, they all began to be decorated beautifully. And as the news started spreading, and everyone was jubilant, one person was extremely dissatisfied. Who was this? Manthara. She saw the procession, she saw everybody celebrating. Her mind recoiled. Because her position was now threatened. Manthara's position threatened? Somebody may wonder, what position did she have in the kingdom? It's interesting, she had no position. She was simply a servant of Kaikeyi. But what happened was, now this is very interesting, this we can relate to very nicely. Manthara was a hunchback lady. She came with Kaikeyi and she was in Ayodhya. After Kaikeyi's marriage, she had come. And she was hunchbacked and she was also the servant of the younger queen Kaikeyi. So she would often be ridiculed by the other servants. But last so many years, Kaikeyi had become the favorite queen of Emperor Dasharath. Because she was the favorite queen, so what happened? Kaikeyi was the favorite queen, so Kaikeyi's servant Manthara also started getting lot of respect and position. And she was offered respect even by the servants of Kaushalya and servants of Sumitra, the other queens of Dasharath Maharaj. And now, when she saw that Ram would be appointed the king, what does that mean? That means Kaushalya would again get prominence. And if Kaushalya gets prominence, what will happen to me? Because Kaikeyi will become secondary. And if Kaikeyi becomes secondary, my position is threatened. So she fumed with rage at the prospect of losing her position. Srila Prabhupada would say, even a pauper is proud of his penny. Pride is so dangerous, false pride, that a person like Manthara is also feeling insecure, although she was actually a servant. So, and Manthara is displaying the separatist mentality. She wants her respect, she wants her position in the kingdom. Sometimes we may think I am doing the most menial service, but I could be feeling very proud of it, that nobody does this better than me. And I am the greatest because I am doing the most menial service. And generally when we come to Krishna consciousness, we are happy with something very simple. We are happy with simply chanting, hearing, dancing in kirtan, taking prasad with devotees. But slowly what happens, bhakti is very attractive, and devotees who practice bhakti also become attractive, and then we get appreciation, and then we like it, and then we attach some position to it. And then when we don't get that, then immediately we feel insecure. And we forget what actually attracted us to Krishna consciousness. Like there is a story of some young boys, they were playing football. And they were creating a big noise and disturbance in the neighborhood. So one man, he was very disturbed by these boys playing every day. So he wanted to stop them from playing. So he thought if I shout at them, and if I chastise them, they'll play more. They'll become more rebellious. So he devised a nice strategy. He found out who is the leader of this group. He saw from far that this is a boy who is actually getting all the boys together. So he called him over. He said, I am so grateful to you. You are playing football. I am so happy because this gives me great pleasure. And you are giving me so much joy. I can't thank you enough. Please take this 10 pounds as a token of appreciation. And please play more. Please play the whole day. Your playing gives me great joy. So this boy became very happy. Oh, we are playing, we are enjoying, and we are also getting money for it. And we are getting so much appreciation. Nice. So they played. And the next day when he came, again this man called him aside, gave him some money, said, oh, so nice. You are playing so nice. Thank you. He praised him. So this boy became happy. So like this for a few days, he did that appreciation. And he gave him some money. And then one day when this boy came, this man ignored him. And the next day when this boy came to play, the man said, I don't have any money to pay you guys. It's actually getting a little boring. So he started passing some unfavorable comments. So immediately the boy got angry. He called all his friends, he said, we should not play here. Let us go and find some other place. These people don't deserve to see us playing. So, and then they left. The moral of the story is, if you want to destroy someone, this is the way Maya destroys us. By giving us respect, position, and then we forget. This boy forgot that he actually was deriving pleasure from the simple game of football. When other things come, then they become so attractive that you forget why you came there in the first place. Similarly, when we were new, we were very happy chanting, dancing, feasting on the prasadam, associating with devotees. Then somebody comes and says, Prabhu, you're such a great devotee. You're wonderful, Prabhu. Your classes are so nice. You sing such nice kirtans. You cook so nice. Everything is so nice. And then when there is no appreciation, oh, he doesn't deserve. I think I should not chant and dance here. I should do. Then it becomes a performance. We forget the purpose, the glorification of Krishna. That's what happens. Manthara started getting respect, position, and now she's feeling I'm going to lose it. So she is now coming up with a very evil plan. She rushed to Kaikeyi. She said, "Get up, O foolish woman. Don't you realize disaster is staring at your face? A flood of misery is coming to Ayodhya. You are going to face utter ruination." Kaikeyi became worried. What is Manthara saying? And she inquired, "Manthara, what happened? Why are you getting so excited?" Manthara became even more angry. And then she replied in a very low voice. She said, "Kaikeyi, I am your well-wisher. I only speak for your benefit. I am not speaking out of envy." Interesting. When a person is envious, the first thing he says is, "I am not envious." In the Bhagavatam we find Daksha, before blaspheming Lord Shiva, he says one verse, "Nacha agyanam, nacha matsarat." All the assembled ladies and gentlemen, please know, now I am going to speak about Shiva, and I am not going to speak out of nacha agyanam, nacha matsarat. I am not going to speak out of ignorance or envy. Clarification. And then his envious outburst comes. It's amazing how envy clouds our intelligence. So Kaikeyi is being assured by Manthara. And then Manthara says, "Kaikeyi, you are in royal life, but you are ignorant of the diplomacy of kings. The king speaks very sweet words to you, but behind is planning your destruction. The king says you are his beloved, but is planning to install Ram as the king and destroy you and Bharat." And with blazing eyes, she roared. She said, "He has sent Bharat to your father's kingdom deliberately so that he could install Ram as the king." What do you think was Kaikeyi's reaction when she heard this? Very important. She smiled. She jumped with joy and she embraced Manthara. And she was wondering, why is Manthara angry? She would have punished anyone else for such comments. But I think Manthara, she has become old. Kaikeyi thought like that. And she is little senile. She has no malice in her heart. She picked up a gold necklace that was studded with diamonds. And she put it on Manthara's neck. And she said, "My dear Manthara, this is the best news I have got in the last so many years. I am so happy." And then Kaikeyi said, "Rameva bharate vaham vishesham nopalakshaye tasmat tushtasmi yadraja ramam raja abhishekate." She said, "Rameva bharate vaham." If Ram becomes the king or Bharat, vishesham nopalakshaye. I see no difference between Bharat and Ram. In fact, tasmat tushtasmi yat raja ramam raja abhishekate. If Ram becomes the king, that will give me immense joy and pleasure. This is the best news I have got." See Kaikeyi's mood. What a wonderful devotee she is. She is actually very happy. And when Kaikeyi expressed her happiness, Manthara began to hiss like a trampled serpent. She threw the necklace down and she said, "Bharat, he had the same claim as Ram to be the king. In fact, when you got married, Dasharath Maharaj promised your father that he will appoint your son as the king. And if Ram becomes the king, Ram will see your son as an enemy. And Lakshman and Shatrughna, they are servants of Ram and Bharat. So either Ram can be the king or Bharat can be the king. My mind is fearful to think of the danger that will come to your son if Ram becomes the king." So Manthara is now presenting herself as a well-wisher of Kaikeyi. See, who has a problem in this whole episode? Manthara is having a problem. But she is presenting as if the problem belongs to Kaikeyi. We want others to purchase our problem. And if somebody does that, then that's how we canvass. That's how we spread our negativity. And with eyes filled with rage, she said, "Kaikeyi, we must do something immediately. Come on, once the crown passes to Ram, you will be bereft of all royal fortune." Now, as Manthara was speaking all this, Kaikeyi was perplexed because Kaikeyi never thought that Ram will have any ill feelings towards her own son Bharat. She said, Manthara, Ram loves Bharat. In fact, Ram will love Bharat more even after he becomes the king. In fact, Ram will give the kingdom to Bharat. If not Bharat, he will give the kingdom to Bharat's son. It's all the same. It's all the same, Manthara. And Manthara, she again started screaming. She said, you are a stupid woman, Kaikeyi. If Ram becomes the king, how will Ram give the kingdom to Bharat's son? Ram's son will get the kingdom, logically. How will your son ever get? You are in great danger. And so on, back and forth, they began talking. When do you think of the turning point in this whole discussion? When did Kaikeyi actually start believing Manthara? The turning point was when Manthara started playing upon the natural rivalry that existed between the queens. So Manthara started saying how if Ram becomes the king, Kaushalya would get more favors. Kaushalya would become a prominent queen. If Kaushalya becomes prominent, then what will happen to you? Kaushalya will get back to you because Kaushalya was neglected all these years. So like that, she started poisoning her mind against the other queens. And now you will lose your position. Kaushalya will take revenge. You will be her maid servant. That's when Kaikeyi started believing Manthara. So Manthara is afraid of losing her position, but she is making Kaikeyi realize that you will lose your position. In Krishna consciousness, actually there is no reason to be insecure. In the outside world, we can understand. Sometimes people become very insecure and they become envious because they feel there is very limited position and not everybody can get it. Maybe only one person can be the president of the company. So there is competition. And when one person gets that coveted post, the others feel insecure and envious. But in Krishna consciousness, when there is a spiritual culture, if Ram becomes the king, everyone would have been happy. But insecurity because, I will not get this. I will not get the position. I will not get respect. Like, I was reading in the 2012 London Olympics, there was one British swimmer, Cathy Sexton. I was reading her interview. Somebody had sent it to me when I was in Mumbai. She was in so much depression because she had won the gold medal in the world championships swimming. And now she was afraid that in the London Olympics, she may not get any medal. And she was in so much depression, she had to go through a lot of treatment and a lot of anxiety. And at that time I was discussing with some other brahmacharis and we were talking about Krishna conscious Olympics. And a nice discussion came up. And devotees were saying, we are so fortunate that we don't have to worry about, while practicing Krishna consciousness, we don't have to worry about any position. Because Krishna sees everyone equally. And then we were saying how in Olympics, one person gets a gold medal. Others don't get any, others get silver, bronze, then you don't get anything. So we were discussing how if there is a race, marathon race, and everybody is running, and you come running, and the one who comes first in the stadium after running 26 miles, he gets a gold medal. And one who comes last, maybe nobody is watching him. And then we discussed how in Krishna conscious Olympics it's different. One person runs, means he's doing lot of service, Herculean service, excellent service. He comes running and he's the first to enter the stadium. And the whole parampara is watching, everyone is watching, everyone is cheering him, Hari Bol, he gets a gold medal. But what happens to the others who are running? They are running, some of them are running towards Krishna, but they are slipping and falling on the ground. And then what do? Devotees, they don't sit and cry, oh, he tripped me, I fell. No, they get up, again they run to Krishna. Some of them again slip, they put some balm, they tie a band-aid, and then again they keep running. And as they're running, they see others who are slipping, they are slipped, they are falling. They pick them up, come on, let's run. And when they all run, some of them go ahead, some of them are slow. But when the last person enters in the community, when the last devotee enters the stadium, he is amazed to find that everyone in the stadium is still sitting, waiting for him. And everyone is cheering him also in the spiritual world. And when he comes there, he also gets a gold medal. Great, Hari Bol, you have come to Krishna with all this struggle. So we all have a chance to be loved by Krishna. Just, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, just chant Hare Krishna and don't Don't be envious of others. Don't criticize others. In fact, we'll get the same benefit by appreciating other devotees as the devotees who have done such Herculean services. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand Bhagwan ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Bhagwan ki Jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai. So we all will get mercy. There is no scarcity of mercy. It's not that spiritual world has very little vacancy and only first few people will get place in spiritual world. So here Manthara has poisoned Kaikeyi. This is how Maya knows our weakness. The most cunning trap by hearing criticism is the worst thing. When we hear criticism of sincere devotees and we have nothing, we can't do anything. And if we are not in a position to help the situation, then it's no point hearing the criticism. If there is something we can do about it, then it's another thing. But then this poisoning enters our mind and it destroys us completely. His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj, once he was giving a class, he was speaking about Manthara poisoning Kaikeyi. And then he said something very striking, which is registered in my mind. He said, Raghunath Das Goswami compares this kind of prajalpa, non-Krishna conscious talk and negative talk about devotees. Raghunath Das Goswami compares this to a prostitute. He says, a prostitute may give pleasure, and the person may experience pleasure in the association of a prostitute. But what happens as a result of that? He loses his money. The person loses his money. Similarly, when we engage in prajalpa, which is like prostitute, when we engage in the association, then we lose the wealth of spiritual credits that we have earned by our sincere practices. And then he said the most expensive prostitute is the Vaishnav Ninda, because she takes away all the wealth that you ever had and you become a pauper. We lose taste in bhakti. And that's what happened to Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi's intelligence got confused and she saw Ram's installation as injustice. And when Manthara saw Kaikeyi's mind wavering, what do you think she did? Because till now Kaikeyi was confidently convincing Manthara. But when Kaikeyi started feeling, yeah, she is right. Oh, yeah. And that's when Manthara, what did she do? She immediately grasped the hands of Kaikeyi. So when you touch someone's hand, that's a sign of empathy. And I love you, I'm there for you. So that touch, that she shared some silence with Kaikeyi. Yes, I'm there for you. I'm your well-wisher. So then, everything evil that Manthara was speaking made complete sense to Kaikeyi. Manthara said, Kaikeyi, there is one way you can be saved. Send Ram to forest and tell the king to install Bharat as the king. Kaikeyi was intrigued. What? Ram banish and Bharat king? Now Manthara is entering like a needle and now coming out like a plow. Srila Prabhupada said this. I entered America like a needle and I came out like a plow. In the sense, when I entered America, they didn't know what I was going to do. They thought an old man is coming with some message, some books. But then I spread Krishna consciousness in such a big way. Now this philosophy which Srila Prabhupada spoke, even Maya knows this philosophy. She enters like a needle. Small poisonous statement. And then see what happened. It happens sometimes, a small spark of fire and the whole curtain and then the whole building is on fire. It begins with small thing. Termites appear very small. But slowly termites can destroy the whole building. It's possible. So like that, she reminded Kaikeyi, you assisted your husband in a war. Dasharath means one who can fight in 10 directions. He is expert and that time you helped him in the fight and he promised you that he will fulfill any of your 2 wishes and you deferred it to a later date. Now is the time to ask. And then Kaikeyi started saying, oh, how could the king cheat me? He says he loves me, but just to win my favor. Yes, Manthara, right now, I will go to the king and ask him to make Bharat the king. And Manthara said, no, 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 don't go now. Wait, wait, wait. See, Kaikeyi's imagination is going wild. And Manthara is very cunning. Her eyes narrowed down. She said, don't ask to make Bharat the king alone. Also ask for Ram's banishment. Why Manthara is asking for Ram's banishment? Because she knew that if Ram is in the kingdom, Bharat will never become the king. Bharat will never accept the kingdom. He will give it away to Ram. And this is the best time to send Ram away. But how she presents it is very interesting. She presents such a cunning lady. She says, if Ram remains in the kingdom, because Kaikeyi says, let Bharat become the king. What is the problem? Let Ram also remain in the kingdom. What is the problem? Manthara says, no, no, no. If Ram remains in the kingdom, he will do politics. And he will create a big support for himself. And then he will seize the kingdom. Then Kaikeyi, imagination. See how mind, once the mind is poisoned, mind imagines so many things which are not existing. Mind is deadly. Mind can destroy a person completely. There is a saying that many years ago when the very famous Hollywood movie had come, Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia. I have not seen the movie, but I have heard that it had a lot of desert scenes. The people riding on a camel and desert. So this movie, when it was released in Canada that year saw the worst winter. And people would go to the theatre and watch the movie, and during the interval, the ice cream sales shot up like anything. So that was the highest recorded sales of ice cream that year. So then this analysts, they were trying to understand how this ice cream sales increased so much, although it was the highest winter. Because the movie was so good, people were watching, and when they were watching the movie, they were identifying with the desert, with the camels. So that identification with the desert scenes made them think they are actually in a desert. So we need ice cream. How the mind can take us, mind can make us feel so many things not existing. So Kaikeyi is now convinced that there is politics going on here. And she's not realizing that she's the one who's doing politics. So Kaikeyi says, yes, now I am going and asking for these 2 boons. Manthara says, no, 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 don't go to the king. You put soiled clothes and go to the chamber go to the sulking chamber. See, those days, kings were so opulent. They even had a chamber they had a palace where you could go if you are sad and you are angry. That was called as Kopa Bhavan, a palace for sulking. You go and just cry and sulk there. She says, go there, lie down on the ground, let your hair loose, let your clothes be disheveled, and start crying, wailing. Kaikeyi was guileless. She would have never acted politically, although she was angry. And Manthara was expert in politics. So she led her along. She said, Kaikeyi, use your charms to convince the king. And Kaikeyi said, yes, the king loves me for my beauty and charms. That's why every night he comes and spends with me. And Manthara smiled and she said, yes, but tonight is going to be different. He is going to be in for a big surprise. Manthara said, Kaikeyi, remember, he is going to offer you a lot of gifts, lot of temptations. Don't get distracted. Be focused. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Don't get changed. Now, Kaikeyi was actually very kind, very gentle. She was wise by nature. Valmiki Muni says all the qualities. He says she was wise, she was kind, she was gentle. But she lost all her good sense because of this hearing criticism of Ram. In fact, you know what Kaikeyi did? This is amazing. When Ram got married and he came with Sita, they came to Kaikeyi's palace. Kaikeyi's palace is the most beautiful palace in Ayodhya, Kanak Bhavan. Even today when you go to Ayodhya for Yatra, you will see Kanak Bhavan as the most wonderful palace. So when Ram and Sita came to Kaikeyi's palace to take her blessings, she saw them coming and she said, wait, you wait there. She came out of the palace, she held Ram and she took him inside and she stopped at the gate of the palace and she said, Ram, Sita, from this day on, this most beautiful palace of Ayodhya is yours. She gave her palace, Kanak Bhavan, to Ram and Sita. But now Kaikeyi has gone so crazy, she started praising Manthara. She said, You are the only friend I have in whole of Ayodhya. In fact, Mantara, you are so beautiful. Your hunchback is like a lotus which is bent when breeze blows gently. I will decorate your hunchback with gold chains. I will massage it with sandalwood oil. She basically lost all sense of discrimination. That's what Rupa Goswami says what in Nectar of Instruction? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa niyamagraha janasangascha lolyamcha shadvidir bhaktir vinashyati. One of the 6 things that destroy bhakti is prajalpa. Talking critically of devotees and engaging in things which are discussion of topics which have nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. So Mantara took Kaikeyi, and Kaikeyi went to the sulking chamber and she said, now I'll remain like this. Either Ram is exiled and Bharat is crowned, or I won't take any food and water. The king is going to see me depart from this world like this. And when Kaikeyi declared like this, Mantara was confident of the success. And she left the scene. Now she is the one who actually created the whole thing, but she is nowhere to be seen. She's quietly disappeared. So this is how we banish Ram from our hearts. We hear, like one boy was telling me that, Prabhu, I'm not able to chant my japa nowadays. I said, why? He said, I'm spending 6 hours on Facebook every day. He said, 6 hours? So I said, Prabhu, I'm not against Facebook. See, if you chant 16 rounds, which you were doing earlier, 2 hours, then 2 hours you can also read and hear some lectures. And then you will still have 2 hours for Facebook. So I'm not saying you give up, because it may have some use in your Krishna conscious services, but instead of 6 hours, make it 2 hours. And remaining 4 hours you can do hearing chanting. It's actually like it just traps us completely. And Dasharath went to Kaikeyi's chamber, and he was shocked when he heard that she has gone to the sulking chamber, and he ran because he was very confused. What such a auspicious occasion? What is Kaikeyi doing there? And what did he see when he reached there? He saw Kaikeyi is lying down like a rose creeper that has been violently torn from a tree. He felt he's seeing an apsara who's fallen from the heavens, and like a deer who is lying in a hunter's trap. Immediately he picked her up, he put her on his lap, he fondly stroked her disheveled hair, he removed the tears from her face, and he roared. He said, who has dared to offend you like this? Who deserves punishment today? Arise and tell me the source of your sorrow, O wonderful queen. And how do you think Kaikeyi responded to this? When Dasharath was appeasing her, how do you think Kaikeyi responded? She just looked the other way. She didn't look at the king. And again, more appeasing. Finally, she put forward a terrible proposal. And then she said, if you promise me that you will fulfill my desire, I'll tell you what is disturbing me. And you know what Dasharath did? He took her head on his lap, and then he proclaimed, he said, I swear by Ram that I will satisfy any desire that you have. By that very Ram from whom separation would surely end my life, I swear to carry out your order. Indeed, by Ram, for whom I would exchange my own self and this whole planet Earth, I promise to do whatever you ask. So he spoke this vow thrice. So Kaikeyi inwardly rejoiced, and then she said what he wouldn't tell even an enemy. She said, my dear king, let all the gods, the sun, the sky, the stars, the moons, the directions, let all of them bear witness to your promise. And Dasharath was blinded by the sway of passion. He didn't know what he was entering into, like an innocent deer that is trapped, entering into a hunter's trap. He was entering into this. And he agreed. And then she asked for those 2 boons. And what was Dasharath's reaction when she asked for this? Dasharath was stunned. He just didn't move. There was no expression. He just sat like this. When I read this first time, I remembered an incident when I saw what happens when you get shocked. When I was in college in Mumbai, I was going in a train, and there is one station called Lower Parel. And there I saw one man come under a train. Actually, he was trying to, in India, there's not so much strict rules. So people crossed railway tracks. So one man was crossing the track and the train hit him. And I saw his both legs were gone. But still he managed to run on his knees. He came on the platform and he sat like this. And there was all blood around. And I remember seeing him and I saw how his legs are broken. How is he sitting like this? He was like this for a few seconds. And then the pain, he realized the pain. Similarly, Dasharath Maharaj, when the shock of what Kaikeyi is asking, agonizing anxiety, and then he started screaming, alas, what a calamity, and he fell unconscious. And when he came back to consciousness, he tried many things. First he got angry. He thundered. He said, oh cruel, wicked woman, what harm I or Ram have done to you? Now I realize that for so long I had put a poisonous serpent in my bosom. I can never part with Ram. But Dasharath knew that he had vowed and he can't go back. See, Vasudev, this is the glory of Vasudev. Vasudev had also promised Kamsa that I will give all the children. But when Krishna was born, what did Vasudev do? He took Krishna to Vrindavan. But Dasharath Maharaj could not. Raghukul riti sada chali aaye, pran jaye par vachan na jaye. This is the glory of the Raghukul, that they will give up their life but not their vow. So first he was angry, then tears, then he started crying like a beggar. He said, the world can exist without the sun, the crops can grow without the water, but I beg you. He put his head on her feet. Earlier he had taken her head and put it on his lap and he was caressing her. Now he put his head on her feet and begging. And he started trembling like a fish out of water. And Kaikeyi was sitting impassively, as if no response. So first anger, then begging, then negotiation. He said, okay, let Bharat be the king, no problem. But why banish Ram? Let Ram also remain in Ayodhya. What evil spirit has possessed you? Please, don't ask for this. He started negotiating and Kaikeyi was quiet. She was meditating on Mantra's instruction. And then Ram started using logic. Anger, tears, negotiation, then logic. Has Ram done anything to you? Ram has never done anything to you wrong. Ram always loves you more than even Bharat loves you. Finally, everything failed. Then he started using love. He said, I love you. I'm an old man. Take pity on me. Don't kill me. Please save my life. That their age difference was, Dasharath was 60 years old when Kaikeyi was 16. That was when he married her. And Kaikeyi was looking very coolly. And Dasharath stopped because he got exhausted. And Kaikeyi spoke fiercely. She said, shame on you. You are just confirming my doubts about your sincerity. How will you show your face to your ancestors? Today you are betraying your glorious race by installing Ram, and now you are going to enjoy with Kaushalya. Dasharath started crying. He said, I saw you as my devoted and chaste wife, but you have finally killed me as a hunter entices a deer with melodious music. I am destroyed. And then he fell down unconscious. So it's a long pastime, very attractive, but it reveals how envy can destroy us. And contrast to this, what is the spiritual world? The third kind of Bhagavatam says, spiritual world, what to speak of human residents? Even the birds and the flowers are not envious. See, interesting, the human residents are going in a plane. See, generally we say what in material world? Flowers are all lower consciousness. Animals are higher consciousness. And humans are the best. But you see the consciousness in Vaikuntha. Vaimanika salalana charitani shashvat gayanti yatra shamala kshapanani bhartu antarjalenu vikasan madhumadavinam gandena khandita diyo panilam kshipantaha. So the human residents are going with their female counterparts on an airplane, and at that time Gandena, the beautiful fragrance of Malti flowers enters their nostrils, and they say, no, we don't want to enjoy sense gratification, we want to be absorbed in glorifying Krishna. For they are glorified as not being distracted by anything else but glorification of Krishna. And the next verse is, okay, human residents are so glorious, but do you know what the birds are doing in Vaikuntha? Paravatanya vritasara sachakravaka Datyu yaham sashukatittiri barhi namya Kolahalo viramate chiramatra mucher Bringadipe harikatam ivagaya mana. All the birds are mentioned. Paravatanya, Brita, Sarasa, swan, Chakravaka, Hamsa is swan, Shuka, parrot, Titri, Tatridge, Barhinam, Peacock, all of them are doing what? Kolahalo Viramate. They are singing loudly Krishna's glories. And at that time, who comes there? Bringadipe Harikatam Ivagaya Mana. The bumblebee comes. As soon as the bumblebee comes, everyone keeps quiet. Let the bumblebee sing, because bumblebee is such a nice devotee of Krishna. The other birds are not feeling insecure or envious. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the material world, even an ass is proud of his poetry, his singing. And in the spiritual world, even the birds are so conscious. And if you see bumblebee, how does it sing? Bzzz. We may find it irritating. If a bumblebee is hovering around us constantly, we find it irritating. But Krishna loves it. Krishna doesn't get irritated. Just imagine you are a devotee and some devotee is always around you. Prabhu, how can I serve you? How can I serve you? He's always around you. You will say, come on, leave me alone. But the bumblebee is always with Krishna 24/7, but Krishna is not irritated. And all the other birds know that. Interesting, isn't it? Like the cowherd boys, they got association of Krishna only during daytime. The gopis got association of Krishna in the night time. But the bumblebee had association of Krishna all the time. So he is the most fortunate. That's what the birds are discussing. Oh, this bumblebee is so best. Even when Krishna is taking bath, the bumblebee is there, hovering. But we don't like if devotees. I remember when I was a new devotee, I was always behind one senior devotee was behind me. He wanted to make me a devotee. He would always be chasing after me. Once I became a devotee, then he never had time for me. So I would be running behind him. And he would say, Prabhu, I'm busy. But Krishna has all the time for everyone, even the bumblebee. What is the bumblebee called in Sanskrit? You know? Ali. Not Muhammad Ali. Ali. There is one devotee in ISKCON, Ali Krishna Das. The bumblebee is such a nice devotee that a devotee's name is given after the bumblebee. So like that. So the bees and the birds are so non-envious. Okay, that is still alright. The flowers, can you imagine? Mandara Kunda Kurabot Palacham Pakarna Punnaga Naga Bakulam Bujapari Jata Gander Chite Tulasika Bharane Natasya Yasmim Stapa Sumanaso Bahumanayanti. All the flowers are mentioned in the spiritual world. Mandara, Kunda, Kurabotpala, Champaka. Prabhupada translates Mandara as Mandara. None of these flowers have an English name. Finally he says, Gande, and all these flowers are conscious of what? Gander Chite Tulasika Bharanena Tasya. We are simply servants of Tulsi. Tulsi is the best devotee because she has done Yasmim tapasu manaso bahumanayanti. She has done a lot of tapasya to please Krishna. So we all want to be servants. Srila Prabhupada says in the spiritual world even flowers want to be servants of Tulsi. What a contrast. So like this, we need to meditate on these aspects. Unfortunately, what happens to us, we are non-envious, we are very nice when we are new. But as we become older, the envy starts coming up in Krishna. All our conditioning starts coming up. Just like, when we are new, we don't know anything. We don't know how to put on dhoti also, tilak also. So we are very humble. Prabhu, yes, thank you, Prabhu, thank you. So we see Prabhu is here, I am here. And Prabhu is teaching me everything. Basic philosophy. But what happens? Slowly we learn many things. We go up. We learn how to, and in 6 months we know the philosophy. We know how to answer all the questions. So then subconsciously what happens? We think, 2 years ago I came, I didn't know anything. Prabhu was here, I was here. But now slowly I've caught up. I've come till here. We don't realize that last 2 years I came till here, Prabhuji also went up. He also is going up, no? That we don't realize. No, I caught up. But Krishna consciousness doesn't work like that. A devotee who's come before us, we always worship him, we always respect him, and we serve him. There is no place for envy. And what is the solution? There are a lot of things we could discuss on this, but we have no time now. But one most important thing I read in Ravindra Swarup Prabhu's journal, ISKCON Communication Journal, on how a community could become Madhyam Adhikari from Kanishta. He says if there is common commitment to sadhana, if we come together and always do hearing chanting, then there is a very good chance that the false ego would get dissolved. And if we come and glorify Krishna and the devotees of Krishna, then we may, by Krishna's mercy, overcome this anartha. So let us pray and hope that we can come together, chant. And to conclude, I remember, because I heard His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj is coming, I want to conclude with one of his very instructive pastimes. which helped me understand the importance of coming together and hearing and chanting. When he would come to our temple, I was in the guest reception department. I would take care of him. And I remember in the night I would put a mosquito net for him and I would leave the room and I would say, Maharaj, anything else I could do for you? And first time I remember I was shocked. He looked at me and said, I don't leave anyone like that. Sit. I don't leave anyone without giving them Krishna. Sit here. So I got scared. I thought, what is he going to do? So I sat. And then he began to speak Krishna stories. I was shocked. He spoke from, I think, Trinavarta pastime. For 10 minutes he spoke and I was just sitting and hearing. And after that I said, thank you Maharaj. Anything else? And I was leaving. He said, no, you can't go like that. I gave you Krishna, now you give me Krishna. So then I didn't remember anything, but whatever little I remembered. And when I was speaking that, I was so touched. He is a big sannyasi, guru, leader. He is sitting and he's just, listening to me. And I was struggling to remember some pastime from Krishna book. And he was listening. And then after I finished, I just blabbered something. He said, thank you. You gave me Krishna, I gave you Krishna. This is the way we should interact. And then he hugged me and then he sent me away. I felt so nice. I think this is ultimately the solution. There are many things, of course. We have to appreciate devotees, but the weeds, we have to remove them. We have to be a gardener who removes those weeds. For that, we need strength, we need taste. That comes from hearing and chanting. So let us come together and have a common commitment to hearing and chanting. And by Krishna's mercy, we will be able to uproot these weeds which are very painful. Hare Krishna. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.